Conor McGregor is going to coach the Ultimate Fighter. Let's get into this, guys. You guys know every Thursday we do a Q&A. Trust me, the first question is going to be about this. People are already asking me about this, my thoughts. So the timing is lucky. So if you guys want to hear my thoughts, I'm about to talk about it. But if you guys have any questions for the Q&A for next week, next Thursday, if you guys want to comment below, let me know and I'll answer all of them. A lot of questions this week. I tried to fit all of them into this video, but if I missed any, they're probably going to be in the next episode. So just tune in there and let's just get into these questions. First question is obviously as what everyone wants to know. Hey, what's your thoughts on Conor doing the Ultimate Fighter? Now, for those of you that missed it, obviously maybe that you guys have not been paying attention to the news, this isn't confirmed by the UFC, but rather Conor McGregor posted on his Instagram and talked about doing the Ultimate Fighter way back then with Uriah Faber, and basically confirmed that he got offered a position to coach again and is interested in doing it and will probably take it. So obviously this comes with a lot of questions. When is this going to happen? Who is he going to coach against, etc. But I made a video about this, funny enough, earlier in the week, and I said that this was the move. Conor McGregor, bring names like that, and that'll make people excited. I said that the Colby Gilbert idea wasn't really it, in my opinion. I think, look, Colby would make a good coach. Don't think Gilbert would make too good of a coach in the entertainment sense of the way. Now, I think the path here is pretty simple, right? You get him to coach the Ultimate Fighter, and he fights International Fight Week. Now, who does he fight? Obviously, there's a few options. I have a video based on all the options if you guys want to go check that out. But I think, in my opinion, it comes down to two options. I think out of the two, the most unlikely option, which is the option I actually prefer, Dustin Poirier. Obviously, Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor have a lot of outstanding beef. They have a trilogy going on. Now, I think him versus Dustin in the Ultimate Fighter would be extremely entertaining. I can't really see the Chandler McGregor trash talk, because Chandler doesn't really even trash talk, even if McGregor is going to trash talk to him. But Conor has actually shown respect to Michael Chandler in the past, so which makes me think this will be kind of like the Donald Cerrone type, kind of just respectful Conor, and we want entertainment. But in my opinion, I think the path here is a Conor Chandler going to do the Ultimate Fighter, and they're going to fight probably International Fight Week in July. And look, this is the move. Everybody's going to tune in, even if it's Michael Chandler. I don't mean to shit on it. I don't mean to shit on Michael Chandler, because that's still going to be entertaining as hell. Conor, I'm sure, will still bring the trash talk. I'm just questioning how often it will be compared to Dustin, you know what I mean? And I think there'll be some legendary moments if Dustin coaches. How come Izzy and Usman get rematches when they lose the belt, but they aren't giving a rematch to Oliveira? Charles Oliveira wasn't the champion, first of all, right? He did miss weight, but Oliveira does not. But when you look at the Izzy and Usman fight also, I mean, you look at it, they were winning the fight, but also you have to question the legacy, man. I mean, both of those guys have had a lot of title defenses, over 5 title defenses. Charles has really defended his title 3 times. Islam didn't really have too many problems in that fight. I think that in the second round, Charles had some success on the feet, but he got dropped and submitted, basically lost the stand-up and lost to the ground game. So I don't think there's a lot of questions there, and I don't think a lot of people are hungering to see it as opposed to those rematches. Next question, is there a fighter that you think is ridiculously overrated? To be honest, I would say Ngannou, and obviously like, Ngannou did leave the UFC, but I was going to say Khabib. I think Khabib's legacy is a little bit more overrated than him as a fighter, because I do think he's a really good fighter. But in my opinion, Francis Ngannou, people were saying that Francis was going to be John Jones. In my opinion, yes, you could have caught John Jones, but Francis Ngannou's skill for skill is not very good, if I'm being honest. Yes, he did improve with the wrestling, which really impressed me last time out, but for the most part, the guy, if everyone had zero power, this guy would probably be not in the UFC. Do you think Charles Oliveira has a chance to become a champion once again? And if so, how do you see the fight happening? Yeah, I think it's very likely. You know, don't count Charles Oliveira out, and I'm not just saying this because Charles Oliveira is one of my favorite fighters, but he was on a 12-fight win streak and was probably going to be the favorite against any other guy that he fought if it wasn't Islam. I think the question here is going to be motivation. Look, Charles Oliveira has hit the highest of highs. He has made his money. He has become a star. Is he going to be willing to go on those win streaks again? Is he going to be willing to line up against dangerous guys like Beneil Dariush or Rafael Fiziev? Like, is he willing to go against those guys? To answer your question, I think here's the road. I think you fight Beneil. If you beat Beneil, then you have a pretty damn convincing argument to being the champion, especially if Volkanovski wins. If Volkanovski wins, that's a very easy path to get there. I'm assuming Alex is going to want to fight Charles Oliveira because he was the champion before Islam, and a lot of people respect Charles more than Islam. So I think that's the path there. Fight Beneil, and I think he could maybe get a rematch. Do you follow any MMA analyst channels like Heavy Hands or Jack Slack? So if I'm going to be honest, I don't know who those guys are, but the MMA channels I do follow, I follow MMA Guru. I watch the MMA Hour, and basically that's it. Then not many other things. I watch a few maybe smaller channels I can't name off the top of my head. Does the UK really stand behind Paddy? It doesn't seem like it. I mean, when I made my Paddy video, which is obviously the most popular video on my channel right now, I made that video thinking I was going to get hate, thinking thinking I was going to get slandered, thinking a lot of people were going to come at me because I thought Paddy had a lot of fans. But that's what I'm saying, is like most people don't like Paddy, and that's why I think Paddy needs to play this heel role. Some people though do have a desire to be liked. Like I think there's a few people, like I think Jake Paul has a desire to be liked. I think he has this deep desire, even though he does try to play the heel. There are certain cracks in his character, especially when he talks about the fighter pay stuff. There's clearly things that he does with the purpose of having people like him, and I think that Paddy may be one of those guys, judging by how he's handling the whole situation, the whole aerial situation. I think he wants people to like him, and that's hard. I mean, obviously it's hard to have so many people hate you. That's why people like Colby Covington and Chael Sonnen are kind of talented, because they're okay with getting that hate and because they're willing to sacrifice that for the fans. And that's why I think a lot of people should appreciate characters like Colby Covington, Chael Sonnen, and a lot of those heel characters. But to answer your question, it doesn't seem like the UK is standing behind Paddy. It doesn't seem like anybody is. All right, next question. I don't know if you've seen the presser between Smith and Eubank Jr., but if you did, what did you make of the Smith's comments regarding Eubank and his sexuality? Do you think there's still an undercurrent of homophobia within combat sports world, even amongst fighters, let alone fans? I did hear about the comments. I didn't watch the videos. And to answer your question, yes, I think it's a look down upon to be gay, unless like obviously you're a woman or something like that in the MMA world. There's a lot of negative connotations with that, and I think that's why there's probably tons of UFC fighters that are secretly gay. And especially if this is a sport where I find like a lot of older people are in, right? Like I find a lot of younger people are more reasonable to like hearing things like about being gay or being trans, right? Like I think there's a lot of acceptance amongst young people, but older people are kind of accepted, right? They're kind of slow to accept new things. So I definitely do think that there is a kind of an imbalance and kind of a inequality factor in being gay, especially as a man in the UFC MMA whole world. Am I the only one who thought Jiri was winning the fight versus Glover before the finish? Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. Yeah, you're definitely the only one. I don't think that there's any path to victory or any path to score Jiri winning that fight. Maybe you're saying, okay, you had an equal going into the fifth, and maybe I can understand that, but winning, there really is no path. Next question. How do you think the conversation of the GOAT should include an athlete's impact and influence in and out of the ring/cage, or do you think it should be purely skill-based? So I understand what you're saying. This is super relevant with a guy like Jon Jones, right? Jon Jones is a guy in the octagon, obviously is amazing, but when you look at his conduct outside the octagon, not so amazing, right? And you bring up Muhammad Ali as an example. Yes, there are contributing factors and asterisks, especially when you look at steroids, right? But in terms of like, you know, breaking the law, you know, you got to really separate the art and the artist, right? People say this all the time, especially like music. But steroids, I understand. Things outside, no, I don't think it should affect the GOAT conversation, because the truth is we're really just talking about skill. That's all that really matters. If you're talking about steroids, though, I totally understand. With all this knowledge of fighting you have, you should start training too, if you're not already. You're still young, so in a few years' time, you'll be a beast. So yes, as many of you guys do know, I do train, and I'm telling you guys right here, I did a stream, talked about it, but I will 1000% at some point have some sort of competition. I don't know what it is, whether it's just jiu-jitsu, whether it's a pro thing. On my stream, I called out the MMA guru, said, listen, we got to get this done. You know, Misfits doing their thing, you know, I got to get a few more subscribers here and there. He's got a fan base. Let's get my fan base coming. Let's fight on the Misfits card, man. Let's fight, you know, undercard Jake Paul, KSI. Let's do it at the end of the year. I'm kidding, you know, I have tons of respect for MMA Guru, but I would be down, you know, I would be down to do something like that. But like I said, I love the MMA Guru. As I said earlier in this video, I watch his videos, so nothing but respect there. Make a video about which weight class is the hardest to stay champion and why. So I made this just a question because I don't think I can make a whole video out of this, but in my opinion, it's heavyweight. If you look at the longest reigning heavyweight champion, it's Stipe Miocic, and I think he had a record of like 4 title defenses. It's extremely hard to be a champion in that weight class, and obviously because one punch changes the whole fight. We saw with Stipe Miocic, he got knocked out by Daniel Cormier in the first round by one punch. DC in the rematch was doing well in the first 3 rounds, and then body shots put away DC basically. So in that division, I mean, the power's off the charts. Anything could happen. What do you think about the Korean Zombie? Obviously, the Korean Zombie, in my opinion, is at the tail end of his career. You know, obviously he has a little bit less time left. You know, I can't really see him fighting for much longer. You know, I don't know if he's going to take that route and dropping in weight like we've seen so many of these classic featherweights do, like Jose Aldo. But he does seem a little bit big for bantamweight. But although I'm calling for his retirement, he just did earn a title shot, right? He isn't a guy that is on this losing streak. But as of what I think of his style, obviously, you know, you gotta love Korean Zombie. I don't think anybody didn't shed a tear when he lost the Alexander Volkanovski fight. Next up, I got a few questions. How did you get into MMA? So I'm gonna answer these quickly. How did you get into MMA? I got into MMA, like I've already told you guys, Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz. That was the fight that made me go into MMA. Do you do any MMA / stuff? Yes, like I said, I do jiu-jitsu, I do some boxing, I do kickboxing. Who are big underdogs in the UFC now / past? I think a lot of people are sleeping on Kevin Holland, you know, like I always say, I think Kevin Holland is a guy that is very talented, a guy that changes a lot, and I think a lot of people are going to not favor him as much because of this Wonder Boy fight. And the Wonder Boy fight, I think if he didn't break his hand, would have been a lot closer, but a lot of people are sleeping on him, especially at welterweight. If you would be president of the UFC, what would you change besides fighter pay? I'd probably change the way that they do retirement fights. I mean, we just saw with Shogun Rua, man. I wish that they would just do equal matchups, right, and continue doing fair matchups, because that's what makes a good fight. Nobody wants to see Shogun Rua against a young guy coming up, right, because we all know the young guy coming up will win. But it becomes a little more interesting when you have Shogun fight a guy like OSP, and I know he already fought OSP twice, but I'm saying like someone of that caliber that's at a similar stage of their career, and it makes that at least a little more entertaining. Opinion on GSP, in my opinion, GSP is the second best of all time. Third, Anderson Silva. Number one, John Jones. Yeah, no, I don't think you could do no time limit fights nowadays. I mean, I think that would be asking someone to get killed. Like, imagine that Lauren Murphy fight having no time limit. Like, that would just be insane. And final question, this video has 69 dislikes. Should I like it and destroy the beauty? I say no, but of course, if you want to support, I suggest it. All right, next question. Do you think Dillashaw versus Garbrandt 3 might be a good fight to revive their careers? In my opinion, you know, TJ Dillashaw is still up there. Like, don't sleep on this guy. He came into the Aljamain fight with an injured shoulder, and going into it was almost like a 50-50 fight, and I think that TJ would have done well in an Aljamain fight. He's a stylistic nightmare for someone like Aljamain Sterling because he has that wrestling background and he has pretty good stand-up. So I don't know if we should chip him off with Cody Garbrandt just yet, because Cody isn't even ranked anymore. But I like the idea. Like I said, I like these like older guys fighting the older guys. I wouldn't mind maybe seeing like TJ versus Dominic Cruz, or if you wanted to make like a Dominic Cruz Cody Garbrandt rematch, maybe something like that. All right, which fighter would you put on the cover of UFC 5? While we're at it, let me know if you guys want to see any more like UFC 4 content. I did a video a while back where I played the game in the background, but let me know if you guys want to see any videos, maybe like a career mode playthrough, like gameplay. Maybe I'll do like once a week series kind of thing. Let me know, because I've been toying around with doing that idea, and I want to know what you guys think. But who do I think should be the cover as of right now? I mean, Alexander Volkanovski, pound for pound #1. You know, maybe whoever wins this February fight will determine who is on the cover. I don't think that they'll put Islam on the cover, and honestly, I don't think they'll put Volkanovski on the cover either, I guess. I honestly think Sean O'Malley. They're going to put Sean O'Malley on the cover and maybe someone else. I don't know who. Maybe they'll do McGregor if he's returning, and if he wins the return fight, maybe they'll do Michael Chandler if Michael Chandler does beat McGregor. I don't know. I think we'll be expecting a UFC 5 announcement though soon. All right, which striking skill set do you prefer to have? Boxing and Taekwondo or Muay Thai and Karate? I'd prefer Muay Thai and Karate. I do like the Karate moves, you know, the spinning attacks, and the Muay Thai moves. I specifically like the teep kick. What era of MMA do you think has been the best so far? Underratedly, I think we're living in a really good time right now. I mean, MMA is so accessible, even in other promotions is getting pretty good. We're in a pretty good time right now, and the UFC is really popping. We're getting so many new fans, but I think still #1 is probably the Conor McGregor reign. Started off big on the scene, knocked out Jose Aldo, then became the double champion, lost to Nate Diaz, revenged his loss. That whole timeline was crazy. Would you rather be a great kicker or a great boxer? I mean, I think I'd rather be a great boxer, you know, because being a great boxer isn't just having powerful kicks, right? Being a great kicker is really just having powerful kicks, really. But boxing is also the head movement, rolling with the punches, you know, punch power, punch accuracy. You're doing so much, and honestly, it doesn't really take that hard of a kick to really hurt, you know, someone's leg, someone's body, someone's head. All right, what's your favorite fighter outside the UFC? So look, I'm gonna be honest. If I ever tune outside the UFC, it's usually for a guy like AJ McKee, who's really big outside the UFC. So I'd probably pick him, and I want to see him in the UFC. Who is your least favorite fighter / champion? If you're talking about my least favorite champion of current, I'm going to pick Islam Makhachev. Now, I hope the Khabib fans don't come after me, but in my opinion, I don't think that this guy really has shown that he has necessarily deserved everything he has. Yes, he beat Charles Oliveira super impressively, and I'll always give credit. He didn't really fight anyone in the top 5. He fought obviously Charles Oliveira for the belt, but before that, who else did he fight? You know, I would have rather have seen him fight more and more people, and I do think for the record that he has more of a potential than Khabib ever had to be the GOAT. Like, he has really good stand-up and good wrestling. I just don't think he has proven it yet, and to be honest, I really hate when fighters ask for things that, in my opinion, they don't deserve. Like, I think that him, and maybe this is just Ali tweeting, but he really gasses himself up to the max and talks about things that I don't even think he should be talking about. Hi, mate. Question for a Q&A. What do you think about changing the way rounds are scored from 10-9 to 10 and then 9 point something? For example, a clear dominant round would be 10-9, but a closer round would be a 10-9.8. So look, honestly, I don't think that we should do a whole point system, just because I think then the math and the reading it out becomes a little bit crazy. But I think if you want to do like 10-8s, you know, making 10-8s more accessible, I don't mind that idea, because sometimes I find judges either give away 10-8s too easily or underrate 10-8. Pretty much every round of that Lauren Murphy fight was a 10-8, and luckily 2 10-8s were given, and it was judged pretty well. But if you want to make 10-8s a thing, I agree with that, but I don't think a whole point system is really that good, like point decimals, you know what I mean? 3 kings are no more: Usman, Izzy, and Ngannou. Which continent will be the next to have 3 champions at the same time? I think Europe. In my opinion, South America. I think we're going to see the return of Brazil. well, and we already have Amanda Nunes, we have Alex Pereira, so we really just need one more person, and then we have 3 South American kings and queens. Have you checked out The Fighting Business and Mojahed Fudalait? Yeah, Mojahed, I don't know how to say his name. Of course I've checked him out. Hilarious content there if you guys want to check him out. The Fighting Business I have checked out as well. I believe he's the one that does the videos on like how good their grappling is or something like that, I believe. With these Sambo guys crushing everyone in the division, what do you think is the formula to beating them? Look, the sad truth about Khabib and Islam and a lot of those guys are that they're very big for the division, right? And the truth is here is sometimes, and I'm not calling out names, I'm not saying Khabib specifically, I'm not saying Islam specifically, because I'm not going to play those games and accuse anybody if I have no proof, but it seems like a lot of people, and Bobby Green did allude to this, the fact that he was alluding to Islam being on steroids, but I wouldn't be surprised because look, Dagestani guys aren't mythical creatures, yo. Like, they aren't from another planet. Like, they are human like me and you, and the fact that they don't get tired, the fact that they're so strong, it's a little fishy to me. And I'm not saying Islam Makhachev per se or Khabib, but I think you're gonna need someone like a Colby Covington, a guy that has really good wrestling, and lightweight is a division that doesn't have a lot of that, and that's why I'm thinking Beneil is probably the greatest threat to Islam. We saw his takedown defense against Mateus Gamrot, and I think a lot of those guys like Armin Sarukian, a lot of those smaller names that are coming up. And that is all the questions. I was just thinking about ending the questions because I was like, damn, this is really too much, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This video is 36 minutes long, so I'm going to be spending a lot of time editing this thing, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, there's going to be a Q&A next Thursday if you guys want to tune into that. Thank you guys for watching so much. If you guys watched the whole video, please comment Dustin, because real fans want Dustin Poirier to coach the Ultimate Fighter with McGregor. But of course, you know, guys, thank you guys for supporting. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, share, all of that, and I'll see you guys in the next one.